Okay, thank you so much. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to today's webinar that is titled From Margins to Mainstream, where we're going to be looking at the inclusive structures in the ocean governance. So I am Dr. Zikhona Tywaabi-Ngeva, and I am the chair of the Women in Marine Science, which is the WIMS network in the Western Indian Ocean region, and I am honored to serve as your moderator for today. So this session is basically part of our broader mission, that is to be able to advance the gender equality in marine science and conservation by addressing some systematic barriers, where we also are looking at reshaping the narratives and practices, as well as promoting inclusive intersectional approaches to the ocean governance. Thank you so much for joining us from across the region and indeed from across the world, as we are going to explore diverse perspectives on transforming the ocean governance. So before we even start with our webinar, please let me now introduce our esteemed panel. So from our panel, we have Jenny and Ottilia from the Swedish Agency for Marine and Water Management. And we also have Buhle from Nelson Mandela University, CIPSET. And we also have Sarah from the Women in Marine Science. So thank you so much to our panel. And then I am going to take you straight to our speakers. We have amazing speakers that are going to blow our minds away today. So wait for it. I am going to introduce you guys to your speakers. And please keep the conversation going in the chat box. If you need to ask any questions, if you want to pose any questions to our speakers, please use the chat box, and also just to interact as well with each other, because remember, this is an opportunity for us to also be able to get to know each other. And remember, I did say that we are operating from around the globe because we are international like that, honey. Okay, so thank you so much. So before we even move forward, let me first welcome our first speaker. And our first speaker for today is Dr. Renis Ojwala. So Dr. Renis Ojwala is a postdoctoral research associate who is working at the World Maritime University. And today she's going to be taking us through her very engaging and thought-provoking talk that is on charting the new currents, where she's going to be looking at the advancing gender equality and inclusion in ocean science education, research and leadership in Kenya. So Dr. Renis brings a wealth of knowledge on seafarer sustainability, climate change, as well as gender equality in ocean science, and she contributes actively to the Third World Ocean Assessment, as well as the IUC UNESCO Gender Expert Working Group. So welcome, Dr. Renis, and just a kind reminder to our speakers, you only have about 10 to about 12 minutes for your presentations, and therefore then we're going to hand over to the next speaker, and then at the end of it all, then we're going to open the platform for the questions that are going to follow. Like I said, please don't forget to engage with our speakers on our chat box. So then we are going to move on to the presentation of our first speaker. So Doctor, please take it on. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Coach, that wonderful introduction. And I'm so happy for this opportunity to share with you, and also to learn from the experts in this field, especially from the WIOMSA region, or the WIO region. So, and thank you so much for the organizers. And yeah, I'm just happy to be here and speak to everyone. So yeah, my topic is charting new currents, advancing gender equality and inclusion in ocean science. It was a long one that I sent, but I decided to summarize it in this one. So don't be surprised, it's still the same thing. Yeah, so just trying to go to next one. So this is just the outline of today's presentation, why gender matter in ocean science, some substantial contributions of women in ocean science in Kenya. And I will also give you some questions and methodology that I used, key findings, barriers, challenges that I identified from my study, and then recommendations. So we all know that gender equality is very important in ocean science. It drives ocean science forward. It ensures that there's scientific understanding and also addressing the complex challenges in marine ecosystems. And the reason why women matter in this case is that they bring unique and diverse perspectives, talents that foster creativity, innovation, and also ensure that the research outcomes are stronger and very targeted or effective. Another issue is that we have, when we have diverse voices, we usually have better solutions for everything. So ensuring that inclusive environment or inclusive team has to provide comprehensive analysis and sustainable solutions as for the ocean issues. And in addition to that, is that having this inclusive environment ensure empowerment, encourages women to pursue the careers in this field, also strengthens and diversify the talent pool for more resilient and also prosperous future of our ocean. So the reason why gender matter is because we have distinct roles, both men and women, how we use the ocean. So we have gendered access to marine resources, especially if you see being in the field, you have seen many coastal communities, men and women engage in different marine activities. Men mostly offshore doing their fishing, women near shore harvesting, fish marketing and everything. There's also an equal representation in marine science and also leadership. So especially in senior and also decision-making roles. And we also noticed that the impacts of climate change, for example, affect women and men differently because of their different vulnerabilities and also distinct roles. So gender-sensitive ocean education and capacity building is also very important. Currently, we have fewer women accessing ocean science programs, and mostly the education and also training programs do not account for the barriers that women face, such as the caregiving roles, responsibilities, and also cultural norms, and many others. So I took from this study that was done in part of WIOMSA, WIO region, and this was done in Tanzania by De La Castro. Sorry for the pronunciation. And it was they identified different activities that are performed by women in the ocean. And you can see from the first terrestrial coastal forest is more women found there doing agriculture, collecting firewood, and also as you continue to the ocean or the deep sea, their activities reduces. As you can see from there. So it's good to know where they are and what is affecting them in this system. So some substantial contributions that I also would like to talk about is the different roles that they play. They do a lot of good work in terms of artwork using the flip-flops. They do research, they do mangrove restoration, they do seaweed farming, they do artemia farming, they do fish farming and many other things, which is very important and worth mentioning, making them visible to the public that they are really doing a great work in the region. So coming to my research objective is that I was interested to know if the gender equality policies exist in national institutions in Kenya that are offering ocean-related programs or doing research in ocean science. I also investigated representation of women and men in ocean science at all levels, educational, research, management. I also had my questionnaire administered to students to know the barriers that women and men or female students and male students are facing in these institutions. So I also use this feminist political ecology to explore some intersectionalities. Like, it's not only gender, there is issues of age, there's issues of ethnic groups, class, and etc. And also identified good practices and interventions that the institutions that I studied have in place to promote gender equality in ocean science. So this is this other side is just showing you some of the intersectional factors that I also studied in this research. So I'm lucky that 27 ocean science institutions participated in this study, which was a good turnout. And I'm so grateful for your support. 8 of them were public institutions, public universities, 9 government agencies, 7 NGOs, and 3 IGOs. So key findings, starting with the policy evaluation. So out of 8 public universities, only 5 had gender equality policies and sexual harassment policies. And it's also important to note that these policies were gender neutral. Gender neutral, I mean, they were not specifically telling us what they want to do to increase women in different roles in ocean science programs or in academic staff, for example. And also another thing that was surprising is that the university policies that were in place were all outdated. All outdated in that I did my research in 2021, but by that time I got the policies that were in place. Some of them were established in 2010. And they had like a statement, the policies have a statement at the end that after 5 years, you have to review. But still, they were still in place. So I think somebody was not doing something, or maybe they were not being used at all. So there were also inconsistencies between the policy and gender ratios, and that you will see in the next slides. So starting with the gender representation in higher education, there were fewer women in maritime or marine organization or marine programs. The BSc had only 35% women, and looking at the MSc, there were only 22% women. And this was even worse in the PhD programs. So I also decided to look at, over the years, what was the performance like. So the BSc from 2010 to 2019, you can see that women declines, the purple color declines over the years. And the same also to the master's degree. This shows that these institutions do not either collect data to show or to ensure that they cope up with or they track the progress of what they are doing or performing, how they are performing in terms of gender equality. So one thing is just to make sure that you do regular data collection to ensure that you're not declining, but you're improving in terms of increasing or gender equality in these institutions. So looking at gender representation among staff, also there were some good findings here, where women were underrepresented in all the 3 categories. Actually, I should say 4 categories because I had public universities, NGOs, IGOs, and government. But the good thing is that, or there was a better thing to be proud of, that NGOs were doing better, and they were having 45% women compared to the other institutions. So, and also another thing that I noticed is that the government affiliated institutions were only reaching the 2/3 gender rule, which we know is 30. I don't know who said 30 should be women and 30 and 67 or 30, 60 or 70 should be men. So that is what they were exactly doing. As you can see now, this is a better representation in each university. It's the university B that was also doing better compared to the other universities. Okay, so looking at by position, so that one was just the general, the first one was just the general representation, but this is now by position. So majority of women were women staff occupied junior positions, except the NGOs and IGOs. So the one that you see on the screen is from the universities. So majority of women were in non-tenured staff, that is part-timing staff, or many compared, women were many there, compared to the full professors, which only had 14%. Looking at the management of the universities, women were a little bit better, doing better in, were well represented, not doing better, but well represented in head of department and also vice chancellor. So I think because nowadays there is, if you have a VC male, then the chancellor should be a female or something. So that is why they are currently in a better position also. Looking at government institutions also, and also NGOs, this is how it works. So for government, it was the higher you go, the lower the women, you find women. But when we look at the NGOs, they were doing better. We have 75% women in managerial positions as managers. And looking at the IGOs, also we had 60% or 67% women as directors. So what were the barriers that were identified by the students? So one thing is that I also tried to look at the ethnicity, and I noticed that politically dominant ethnic groups were overrepresented, both for the staff and also for the students group. The students also identified cultural barriers as the major hindrance to female access to higher education, followed by gender stereotypes and gender discrimination. Another one good thing, or one major thing that I also felt like highlighting today, is the access to financial aid or support for their studies. That was a big barrier. If you can see, majority of women were being supported by loan. What we call here is Higher Education Loans Board. And if you look at deeper into the family support, you find that more male students were being supported by their family members or their guidance or their fathers, mothers. But the female students were not getting this support as much as the male. So that shows that majority of female students were actually not being supported. The education of female students are not being supported by their family members. They prefer educating their male or their boy child compared to their girl child. Sorry, I'm trying to rush because I know that for 12 minutes it's not enough for everything that I want to share. Sorry. So then there's barriers to career development. That is from the staff interview. I asked them, how do you think gender inequality arises in workplaces? And you can see they also mentioned, remember, cultural barriers, cultural norms is one of the things that is really a thing that we need to be concentrate on at the moment. There were also unwelcoming environment, but so many other things that were mentioned here, as you can see on this chart. So looking deeper on specifics, the barriers that hinder their progressions, this is both for men and women, and you can see family conflicts, work-family conflicts is one major problem. Misunderstandings at work, lack of support, lack of recognition, lack of funding, sexual harassment are some of the issues that were raised. So just extracts from some interviews. This one's we just mention a few. So as this one participant said, it is a particular planet men feel and have been taught that the planet is theirs and to dominate by is theirs and to dominate by any means. So this one was only describing why sexual harassment is normalized by the male colleagues. And when I was also looking at the responses based on work-family balance, and this male lecturer said that it's normal to have a family responsibility, so it doesn't affect his participation or his responsibilities as work, because their mother is there. She has a business. She can still take care of the kids, so it doesn't feel like there is something to worry about when it comes to that. So looking at also age, just want to mention something about age here. I compared these two interesting participants. The reason is because they have almost the same number of children. And if you look at the progress, the male was progressing after every 3 years, while the female took 20 years in one position, and also took a long time finishing her PhD. Both of them were due for promotion by 2021. So you see how far the male are progressing when it comes to opportunities compared to women, and it's because of the barriers that I've mentioned before. So another sad reality is that majority of the ECOPs positions, they are in internships, they are in voluntary. Some people have been internship or voluntary positions for years, like 5 years, and this is very sad for women. Yeah. So what is stake if you don't take all this responsibility and make sure that women are treated and given opportunities as it should be? Then we lose talents and innovation. We are not able to fully include women, so their participation will we will exclude them from participating, and we will lose a lot of good ideas, I mean, from them. So we also make sure this will also ensure that the underrepresentation continues in decision-making positions, and will limit their ability to influence research priorities and also policies. And also it will reinforce the cultural barriers, because they don't see any woman in that position that they want to be, so they just continue being where they are, and this will perpetuate societal biases and against women in ocean science disciplines. So is the limited funding, access to funding, limited mentorship program opportunities, and all that will also be an issue. So I also said I identified good practices, and these ones were exactly from the participants. So some of them mentioned that they are currently encouraging women to participate or apply for positions, that they also have gender equality directorates in the universities, for example. They have gender policies in place. They have, so these are some good things that were mentioned that the institutions are doing to promote gender equality, which is good. So my recommendations are that we have to reform the policies to be able to have gender transformative policies, implement them, enforce them, ensure that you promote the opportunities for women at all levels. Empowerment and education, invest in programs and initiatives that empower women and girls through education, training, and mentorship programs. Leadership and representation, we ensure that women are promoted. They are given, or not given, but through their qualification, because usually they have qualification, but they are not being given this opportunity. So make sure that whenever you're promoting them, make sure that you also consider women as well. We have to raise awareness about the importance of gender equality and the challenges that are in place. To ensure that we get the number and also the qualified women in what there is So equitable selection and recruitment committees to ensure just fair and enrollment and also recruitment of staff, create and strengthen women support structures and network, provide fellowship scholarship and grants for them, and make sure you regular monitor and evaluate the staff and also the students in place, so as to see are you progressing or declining when it comes to promoting gender equality. Sorry for rushing you. So these are the published papers that are already out. There are some that are still coming, but this is from the study already. So feel free to read more on them because I could not share everything. Thank you so much. So this was under Empowering Women project that was under the World Maritime University, Sasakawa Global Institute, and it was funded by the Department of Fisheries and Oceans, Canada. And thank you so much for you listening to me, and I look forward to hearing from you as well. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Renis. Thank you so much for that thought-provoking presentation. You had me stuck at those barriers to career projections. Those are quite scary. I was just stuck there for quite some time, but thank you so much. And to the participants, I just want to encourage you guys to use the chat box to introduce yourselves, where you guys are coming from, maybe share your LinkedIn profile, connect with other people. Remember, this is a great profile. This is a great connect from all over the world. And remember, I did say that we are global, honey. We are very global. So without wasting any further time, if there are any questions that you want to pose to our wonderful speakers, please remember to use the Q&A chat box to pose those questions. We are going to attend to those questions when we get to the end of all the presentations. Thank you so much, Dr. Renis. And then without wasting any further time, we're going to look at our next speaker. And we are joined by Mr. Sohanur Rahman, who is an executive coordinator of the YouthNet Global in Bangladesh. And he's going to be taking us through his talk. And yes, we do have men in the WIMS, friends of WIMS. And we love that because we do listen to our people. You guys have asked us to invite the men speakers, and here they are. So he is going to be taking us through his talk that is titled The Gender Equality in Ocean Governance, where he is going to be looking at the masculinity lens from the global south. I love it. I love it. And Mr. Rahman is a passionate youth climate activist, as well as an advocate for gender transformative climate solutions. He challenges the patriarchal norms, while he also amplifies the youth and the women's roles in building the climate resilience. Welcome, Mr. Rahman, and please take it on. And please remember, you have around 12 minutes, and let's blow them away. Thank you so much, and welcome.
Yes, thank you, Zikhona, for your nice introduction. And I'm very happy to part of this discussion about talking about the men and boys engagement and masculinity lens. Thank you for this opportunity to speak with you today. And it is both a responsibility and deep honor to join this conversation on advancing gender equality in marine science and conservation, particularly in the context of the Western Indian Ocean. I am come to you as a youth climate activist from Bangladesh, and I am also part of the Global Men Engage Alliance network, and I am member of the global working group on that global network, amplifying the climate justice and environmental protection issue. But my country is profoundly shaped by its relationship with water, especially Bay of Bengal, and like many of me in the Indo-Pacific region, our coasts are both lifelines and front lines. And I am come to you not only to speak about the gender equality, but to speak about the transformation. Because let's be clear, what we face is not simply a gender gap in the ocean science and the conservation. What we face are entrenched system, patriarchal system, colonial system, extractive system that have long decided who have power, whose knowledge count, and who get that decide the future of our ocean in this region. To address gender inequality in marine science is not just to bring more women into existing systems, but it is to rebuild those systems so that care, cooperation, and justice are at the center. Deeply intertwined issue about the gender-related barrier, what I see to achieving the ocean sustainability. And one of the major point is access and opportunity, what the first presenter showed with us, the sad picture or the grim picture, because girls and young women in many coastal and island communities are less likely to access education in science, technology, engineering, mathematics field, STEM field. Fewer still make it into marine biology, conservation science, or leadership in fisheries management. And in my community, I found one of the root cause about this is a child marriage. And child marriage is influenced by the natural disaster, and that natural disaster created by the climate crisis. So climate crisis is creating a cycle of poverty, and then girls are bearing the brunt of these crisis in existing gender inequality. And other issues is unpaid care burdens. Women are often responsible for caregiving and household duties. This is invisible labor limits their time, ability to participate in trainings, consultation, and decision-making process related to the ocean governance. And this responsibility can create more unpaid care burdens. But in Bangladesh, now we are also accounting the unpaid care work in our GDP mechanism. And another issue is a cultural and social norm, sometimes religious norm, like Muslim country in Bangladesh. So in many communities, men are associated with the sea as fisher folk, as a divers, as a decision maker, while women are associated with the shore. This leads to a deep undervaluing of women ocean knowledge, especially indigenous and experiential knowledge passed down through the generation. But issue is a masculinized work space, whether on research vessel or in the government ministries. Many marine institutions are dominated by the men, masculine norms like competition, technical rigidity, hierarchical leadership style that create unwelcoming spaces for women and non-binary individuals. But here's something we often overlook. These same gender norms also shape how men relate to the ocean. Boys are often taught to view the sea as something to conquer or extract from, but not to care for. Emotional disconnection is a normalized, but cooperation is a discouraged. And this has profound consequences not only for gender justice, but for the sustainability. Now I want to share something about the structural and institutional inequalities. And let me name a few clarity, like leadership pipeline in marine governance are often built on formal academic credential that many women, particularly from marginalized communities, simply do not have access to. This reproduces elitism and racial and gender inequalities. And policy also issue. Policy development process often exclude women's voice, especially rural women, indigenous women, and young people like me. So community consultation are either tokenistic or conducted in a space where women are not socially allowed to speak freely. And some focus group discussion cannot be tick box as name of the meaningful participation or inclusion. And one of the major things is the funding flow. So that funding flow prioritizes technical intervention over social ones. That means projects to improve fish stock monitoring are funded, but programs to support women's cooperative or intergenerational knowledge transfer are ignored. So funding also shaping these gender disparities. So let's not forget the gender bias within climate and environmental funding. Very little of it's directed to women-led local organizations, especially in the global south. So funding is not promoting the youth and women organization. And when it comes to ocean governance, and ocean is one of the biggest source to absorb the greenhouse gas or carbon dioxide, but it's not prioritized in the climate space or environmental space. So all are the multi-ignored things. If we want to transformation, not tinkering, we need to reimagine what expert like. And obviously, masculinity matter, changing that narrative. Now let's shift to the lens a bit, because true gender transformation also means talking about men and masculinity, especially the caring masculinity. And masculinity is not the enemy, but unchecked, dominant masculinity have shaped the ocean governance in harmful ways. In my work with Men Engage Alliance and the Global Working Group on Climate and Environmental Justice, and I have experienced since COP26 to COP29 and SB, I have seen the power of inviting men to reflect on how they have been socialized and how that impact their way to engage with the environmental work. Too often, boys are taught that showing emotion is weakness. The real men don't ask for help, that their worth lies in the how much they can produce or control. So caring, sharing, cooperation is not a masculine thing. It's a feminist thing. These norms spill over into science lab, conservation NGOs, and fisheries management council, often unspoken but deeply influential. So we need to create safe space for men and boys to reflect on their gender identities, learn cooperative, nurturing ways of working, become ally, active partner, as well as beneficiary. Only be allies and partner is not enough. Men and boys also should be the partner of the gender equality. And it not in just in word, but in how they show up, share power, and shifting the practice. So my final thing is sharing a good practice from Global South, like Bangladesh. So I want to share a project. It's funded by the Sweden SIDA and mentored by the WIOMSA and the MEN organization in Sweden. So we developed a project named EcoMan, engaging men and boys for gender transformation. And we face huge challenges in ground, but we also get more support from men and boys in the context of tackling GBV and sharing the power. So that engage a lot of men and boys, fathers, brothers, and create more space for women in the environmental governance, climate governance. And that experience can be replicated to the ocean governance, to the river management. And that example shows us that gender equality is not a separate issue. It is a solution to ocean sustainability and wider issues. So I am concluding with the 3 priorities for action. First one is train and hold accountable male leaders in the margin governance. Second one, design program that engage men and boys as a part of the solution, not as the only mere problem. And third one, fund and elevate women's leadership, not as a gesture, but as a necessity. So friends and colleagues, this is the moment for re-choconing, not just for gender equality, but for the survival for our ocean. Let's commit not just to inclusion, but to transformation, not just to adding women into existing system, but to building new system based on care, cooperation, and collective wisdom. Let us rise not only for the ocean, but with it. And in doing so, let us rise with one another, Ubuntu, because I am, you are. Thank you. Over to the moderator.
Wow. Wow. Thank you so much, Sohanur, for such a beautiful presentation. Over to you, Zikhona. You are back now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Sohanur. Oh, you are all going to agree with me. That was absolutely fantastic. And I'm sure you guys do realize, and you can all attest to why he did not need PowerPoint slides, because he is a natural. And I love the fact that he did share, and he's got us some key points that we need to take home and ponder upon. Thank you so much, Mr. Sohanur. And then we're going to move on to our third speaker. So our third speaker is Ms. Anne-Elies Nieblas, who is the president of the Company for Open Ocean Observations and Logging, which is known to be COOL, and the WIMS country coordinator for the La Reunion. And her talk is titled Women Mentoring in the Western Indian Ocean Region, which is quite exciting. And Anne-Elies has over 15 years of experience in fisheries science, ecosystem monitoring, and marine policy, and she is the driving force behind our We Mentoring initiative, where she is creating mentorship pathways for women across the WIO region. So welcome, Anne-Elies, and please take it on. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Zikhona, and thanks to everybody who's here. Yes, I'm Anne-Elies Nieblas. I'm the Reunion Island representative and executive member for the WIOMSA Women in Marine Science Network, or WIMS. I'm here to talk to you today about, oh, sorry, hang on, let me share my slides. I do need slides. Let's see, just share up.
And while we're waiting for Anne-Elies to share her screen, please remember to engage on the chat. Please introduce yourself and where you come from and your contact details. You'll never know who you're going to connect with. Thank you.
All right. Can you see my slides now? Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, so yes, so today I'd like to just share with you about the new Womentoring program that's being piloted by the WIMS network. We'll explore a bit about this initiative and how it's contributing to inclusive structures and gender mainstreaming in ocean governance in the Western Indian Ocean region. First of all, just what is gender mainstreaming? The term was formalized in 1995 at the UN Beijing conference as a global strategy to achieve gender equality. This idea to integrate gender perspective, the idea is to integrate gender perspective into all policies and programs, not just an afterthought, but systematically. So today, gender mainstreaming is a cornerstone to the Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, and it supports the achievement of SDG 5, gender equality, by ensuring that the needs, the experiences, and contributions of both women and men are systematically considered. So how does it connect to ocean governance? Well, if we consider that ocean governance refers to the systems, rules, and institutions that guide how we manage and use the oceans and its resources, including everything from local fishing regulations to international treaties. It shapes who has access to these marine resources and who gets to make the decisions and how the benefits and the responsibilities are shared. And in this context, gender is unfortunately still often invisible. We've heard from previous presenters that women are deeply involved in the marine field, in small-scale fisheries and conservation and global leadership and traditional knowledge sectors, but their contributions are frequently overlooked. And this is part of the reason why gender mainstreaming matters in ocean governance. It recognizes that marine and coastal policies affect men and women differently. It promotes equitable access to marine resources, decision-making, and benefits. And it supports inclusive, sustainable ocean management by integrating diverse voices at every level. And so, why is gender mainstreaming particularly important in marine science? So despite ongoing progress, as we saw from our first presenter, women remain underrepresented in marine science. Studies show that women continue to face systemic barriers, including biases in hiring, authorship, and grant allocation. While globally we see that there's roughly gender parity in PhD and postdoc levels, women are less likely to be in leadership and decision-making roles. They're underrepresented as first authors, especially in high-impact journals, and they receive fewer research grants than men. However, research consistently demonstrates that inclusive science leads to better outcomes, and diverse teams produce diverse problem solving and more innovation. So gender streaming aims to tackle these structural issues by ensuring that women's voices are included and valued, with key actions toward gender mainstreaming, including gender analysis, inclusive participation, sex disaggregated data collection, institutional capacity building, and the promotion of mentorship and leadership opportunities. So these are some key actions that embed equity into the systems and make the field both fairer and stronger, which is precisely why networks like WIMS matter. They actively support women's career progression and leadership in marine science. Since it was launched in 2017, WIMS, WIOMSA's Network for Women in Marine Science, has served as a strategic platform to support women's visibility, leadership, and engagement across marine science disciplines. Our mission starts with empowerment through mentorship, through network building and professional development opportunities, with the aim to directly contribute to more equitable participation. Secondly, WIMS works to foster an inclusive and supportive community across all career stages. It brings together students, early career researchers, women re-entering the field, and senior leaders in order to create a safe and supportive network. And finally, WIMS promotes diversity and gender responsive approaches within the marine science field, recognizing that achieving gender equality starts with changing the culture, the representation, and the accountability of institutions. So as a gender mainstreaming mechanism, WIMS does three things. It builds capacity so that women can participate meaningfully in science, policy, and leadership. It creates safe spaces where challenges can be named, they can be shared, and they can be addressed collectively. And it strengthens institutional accountability by encouraging programs and partnerships that track the progress and measure impacts of these different initiatives. So one of these strategic initiatives of WIMS and the focus of this talk is womentoring. So what is womentoring? In the WIMS context, womentoring is a structured, supportive mentoring program. The program pairs a broad range of career levels of women in marine science, including women, early career, students, early career, and women re-entering the field, and pairs them with more experienced professionals who are both women and men, with the idea to foster career growth, confidence, mutual learning, by both the mentee and the mentor in order to strengthen connections across the WIO region. The womentoring program began as a small speed womentoring initiative that we piloted during the 2022 WIOMSA Symposium in Port Elizabeth, where we had informal meetings between womentor and womentee pairs who met during the coffee breaks. And what we found is that the response from these initial participants was overwhelmingly positive, including 100% support for a future program and a clear demand for something a bit more structured, which is what has led to the current 2025 pilot program. So following the success of that informal speed womentoring, a more formal womentoring pilot program was launched in 2025 as a structured 6-month initiative. We matched 10 mentor-mentee pairs, supported by a team of 5 dedicated program coordinators and a subgroup of the WIMS steering committee. The program runs from April to September. All participation is voluntary and primarily virtual, which allows participants from across the region to meet regardless of their location or any financial constraints. Each pair meets at least once a month and at their own scheduling to encourage flexibility around schedules and time zones. And meanwhile, program coordinators play a key role to facilitate introductions. They check in with pairs regularly and they offer support if any issues arise. We've built in a feedback system with monthly check-in surveys and reflection points at midterm and at the close of the program in order to ensure accountability and to also have enough information to improve our future editions of the program. We think that the structure itself reflects the principles of gender mainstreaming in that it's designed to be inclusive, accessible, and responsive to real needs in the community. The objective of the mentoring goes well beyond just one-on-one support. It's also strategically aligned with building a more inclusive and equitable marine science community. It firstly promotes career development by helping mentees navigate their personal paths, set goals, and access new opportunities. It also focuses on skill building, including technical skills like research or grant writing, but also soft skills like leadership and negotiation and communication. Another major objective is confidence and empowerment. For many mentees, having a trusted mentor helps to validate their experiences, navigate gender-specific barriers, and also build resilience within the field. And then there's networking. So this is an essential aspect of our field. The program connects women across institutions, countries, and disciplines. It helps to break professional isolation and open doors. Finally, gender equity itself is a key goal. By addressing some of these structural inequalities, mentoring aims to help more women participate and lead in marine science. So these are some key objectives which benefit a lot the mentees, but we want to also stress that this isn't a one-way support, where mentors also benefit. Many mentors describe how mentoring programs revitalize their own sense of purpose, sharpen their communication and leadership skills, and offer fresh perspectives from the next generation. It also gives mentors a concrete way to contribute to equity and inclusion in their own fields. So why does this matter for gender mainstreaming? We think that the mentorship program addresses multiple barriers at once. It builds skills, it opens networks, it strengthens confidence and supports advancement. Which are all essential in enabling a more equitable participation in leadership. One of the key strengths of the WIMS mentoring program is that it's built on a structural support system to ensure that participants feel guided, resourced, and heard. So every participant receives a mentoring guidelines, which clearly outline the roles, expectations, best practices, and even conversation starters and sample questions for their meetings. We had a kickoff meeting to ensure everyone has a shared understanding of the program objectives. We also have built a resource hub for practical documents and shared tools. And most importantly, each pair is supported by a dedicated program coordinator, someone they can go to if the challenges arise. We wanted to promote self-reflection and growth in the pairs, but also in the program itself, which is why we've included so many monitoring mechanisms. So that we can track learning challenges, progress, and milestones, as well as gather evidence and insights to improve the program in the future. To make mentoring work, it's essential to have clarity on who does what. So in our program, we have 3 core roles. First, the mentors offer advice. They act as guides through career challenges. They share their network experiences. They are a great mentor is somebody who is motivated with great communication skills and commitment to learning and collaboration. We also have mentees whose role is not passive. They're expected to come in with clear goals, be really proactive in their conversations, and to take ownership of their growth. And we have program coordinators who are the glue holding it together. They oversee the pairings, they help with the onboarding and check-ins, they design the surveys and track engagement and make sure the program stays on course. We opened the call for participation in February, and we received over 60 applications from 18 countries across Europe and Western Indian Ocean, which is a powerful sign of both the need and the enthusiasm for this program. From those, we formed 10 mentoring pairs selected from 19 mentors and 32 mentees. The selected mentors brought over a decade to more than 35 years of experience in various marine science sectors. The selected mentees were mostly early career professionals, with about 30% that are grad students and 15% that are undergrads. The pairing was not random. We used detailed criteria derived from information provided in the sign-up survey to ensure compatibility with key criteria based on language and the field of work. But we also considered mentoring style preferences, communication tools, time zones, and goals in order to build pairs that are functional and mutually meaningful. Understanding that motivations and challenges of WIO-mentees is central to shaping the program. From the initial survey, where you saw that the most commonly reported challenges include a lack of access to career development opportunities and difficulty in building professional networks. So these two areas, both career and connection, are precisely where gender disparities are most pronounced, especially in marine science sectors where leadership roles are still male dominated. WIO-mentees frequently mention struggling with time management, developing both technical and soft skills, and navigating transitional moments in their careers, like re-entering the field after a break or a shifting of disciplines. Others often highlighted internal challenges, including a lack of mentorship, gender barriers, and a need for confidence building and communication support. So we're now in a few months into the pilot phase, and we're seeing some momentum and early impact. In February, we opened this call. We spent March and April selecting and matching the 10 pairs and assigning the program coordinators. We brought everyone together for a virtual kickoff meeting in May to set expectations. And since then, all pairs have met at least once. Most have already met 2 or more times. We're seeing strong engagement with monthly check-ins that are helping us maintain momentum and troubleshoot early challenges. And some members are so keen, they're already reporting for July. We've also are hearing some early reports on the impact of the program. One WIO-mentor shared that this has been a very positive experience for both me and my WIO-mentee. I believe this program will be instrumental in helping her overcome limitations and pursue her professional aspirations. And a WIO-mentee shared with us, although things are just getting started, I already feel inspired and encouraged by the support within the network. I'm truly excited to continue learning and growing through this experience. Across 5 core dimensions: communication and relationship, progress and goals, growth and learning, challenges and feedback and guidance. Most responses fall into excellent or satisfactory. Particularly communication and relationship building have been consistently strong. So these early reflections help show us that WIO-mentoring is functioning well and creating spaces of trust and support. As we move into the second half of the program, we'll continue with monthly check-ins, as well as final evaluations. And by the end of the cycle, after the pilot closes, we will evaluate the program in depth, taking into account participant feedback, in order to scale this into a long-term WIO-mentoring model with more pairs, stronger support system, and ongoing alumni engagement. And then looking ahead, WIMS WIO-mentoring program is about building an inclusive and supportive community of women in marine science in the Western Indian Ocean. It fosters career growth and skill building, as well as resilience needed to navigate gendered challenges in professional spaces. It's structured, it's intentional, and it's grounded in values of equity, reflection, and professional development. And it's also strengthened by continuous monitoring and feedback, because WIO monitoring supports WIO mentoring. This pilot sets the groundwork for a long-term model that we hope will be long-lasting and developing a strong network of long-term relationships within a growing alumni community. And from a systems perspective, we find that the WIO mentoring program has the potential to be a gender mainstreaming tool in action. By building on individual capacity, we strengthen inclusive leadership in ocean governance. I believe that WIO mentoring has a key role to play in connecting, equipping, and empowering women, and assisting to create spaces where women can move into and within the marine science field, as well as into positions of influence from the margins to the mainstream. So I thank you. I apologize for the length of time, and I'm happy to take questions at the end.
Thank you so much. Guys, I told you what's going to happen during this webinar. You can already see. Can you feel it? Because I can feel it. Please give me the thumbs up if you guys can feel it, because wow. What an amazing webinar. I wish we had more time. Thank you so much, Anne-Elies, for that presentation. And then without wasting any further time, remember I did mention that you need to continue the conversations on our chat and also post your questions on the Q&A chat session. And then we are going to attend to those questions at the end of our presentations. And then we've got our final speaker. Woo, our final speaker, guys. I think you need air cons. The way it's getting very hot here. It's 12 degrees Celsius, but already I feel like taking off everything because wow, it's about to get lit. So we've got our final speaker, and our final speaker is Professor Cornelias Ncube, who is an associate professor at the National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe. He's going to be taking us through his talk, where he is going to be talking about transforming ocean governance through the ecological masculinities, where we are going to be taken through rethinking the male power as well as the care in the marine conversation. Professor Ncube is a professor, as I mentioned, in the National University of Science and Technology in Zimbabwe, and he has played a very important role in shaping the Gender Action Plan for WIOMSA's and scalable programs. So welcome, Professor Ncube. I don't want to even dilute this talk by talking further. I do know that you are going to do the justice. Thank you so much and welcome. And remember, to our speakers, we have 10 to about 12 minutes. So please let us try and stick to the time. Thank you so much, Professor Ncube. Take it on.
Thank you very much, moderator, and good day, good morning, everyone. Could you please confirm if my slide is appearing or showing?
Yes, Professor Ncube, but can you put it on slideshow?
Oh, yes.
Okay, just go back. Go back by that arrow. And somewhere up there in those tabs, there's slideshow. Thank you. There we go.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. So my presentation today is titled "Transforming Ocean Governance Through Ecological Masculinities, Rethinking Male Allyship, Power, and Care in Marine Conservation." I hope to briefly, hopefully I'll have enough time, explore how interrogating masculinities, especially those embedded in marine governance structures, can unlock inclusive and sustainable futures. In terms of the agenda of this presentation, I would like to begin with the key conclusions, what I want to leave you with. And then I will then walk you back through the logic and sort of argument that is leading to these conclusions.
Professor Ncube, I'm really sorry. Can you please put your presentation on slideshow?
Oh, it's back on thing.
It's back on, yeah. So maybe just go down and go to presenters thingy. Yes, the next one. The next one. Yeah.
This one. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yes. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Then I'll take you to why masculinities matter in gender equality. What are ecological masculinities? Insights from research in Zimbabwe. Then I'll briefly run through some gaps that I've observed in the WIO ocean governance, working through WIO and through the Briswoods company. And then I'll quickly run through some pathways for transformation and close with some brief sort of provocation questions that I would like to leave you with. So, in terms of the conclusions, I would like to really make 3 key conclusions. One, that we cannot decolonize ocean governance without reconstructing masculinities. We know that power is gendered, and so our systems of knowledge. And 3, ecological masculinities offer a generative sort of way for men to participate, not as defenders of the status quo, but as allies and co-stewards. And the last point that I want us to take away is that male allyship is also not enough. But what is key is that men must also be willing to unlearn and reconstruct new relational ways of engaging with nature, with people, with our oceans, with our environment, etc., etc. So why masculinities matter? We cannot advance gender equality by only empowering women, but we must also disempower the systems that oppress them. So in many gender equality spaces, especially in ocean governance, efforts focus heavily on adding women in. That is important and absolutely necessary. But if we add women into systems that are still structured by patriarchal norms and masculinity cultures, then we risk asking them to succeed on terms that are already biased against them. So we also risk something else, treating men as gender neutral, as if they don't carry gender identities and responsibilities, and we know they do. In fact, when we just focus on adding women and we treat men as gender neutral, masculinity often goes unexamined, unexplained, and interrogated, even as it sets the tone for what counts as legitimate knowledge, leadership, and scientific excellence in the marine field. And so values like competition, technical dominance, or detachment from local knowledge, all these are not neutral. They are very much gendered, and they marginalize women, especially those from indigenous or rural backgrounds. So when I speak about ecological masculinities, just as the first speaker, Sohanur, did, we are not necessarily celebrating masculinity in its dominant form, but we are calling for its transformation. So this presentation basically argues that men must also change, not just support a change. We must confront our own identities, privileges, and practices, and choose, as the first speaker alluded, embodied care, issues of originality, humility, and co-responsibility. And so it is critical that we deconstruct what really we mean by masculinities and why there's a matter in this discussion. Yes. So what are ecological masculinities? and why this concept is useful in rethinking marine conservation. Most environmental governance structures, including in the WIO region, are built on masculinist traditions, ones that value control, conquest, and rational domination of nature. These traits are not just neutral; they are gendered performances of power, as Colin and Hen have so much theorized about these things. So masculinity in this context becomes really connected or linked to exploitation of both people and ecosystems. And so the concept of ecological masculinities aims to disrupt this negative masculinities in the way we relate with our ecosystems. So it draws again, as the second speaker alluded, from feminist political ecology, where we need to learn that gender is not just an add-on to environmental work. It is central to how people access, manage, and relate resources. But we must also approach this discourse from a post-humanist and even decolonial sort of perspectives, challenge the Western sort of colonial logic of human beings as masters over nature. So ecological masculinities do invite men into this transformative role, not as defenders of their privilege, but as relational beings that are capable of solidarity, empathy, and ethical stewardship. And this aligns strongly with WIOMSA's agenda, as I alluded to, working with them so that we can truly shift ocean governance from the margins to the mainstream. We must transform not just policies, but the gendered subjectivities of those who lead and implement these policies. Let me just briefly draw you to some insights from my recent work that I'm currently working on across Zimbabwe's environmental movements, where I have observed sort of some really profound transformation in how men are beginning to understand and enact masculinity, moving beyond the sort of the dominant breadwinner roles that we men are accustomed to, especially in the grassroots organizations such as Matabeleland Institute of Human Rights, Green Shango Trust, Tsuro Forest Trust. These organizations are reshaping their identities through vulnerability care and shared responsibilities. And we see this in these organizations, men are really confronting environmental degradation issues and challenges by leading reforestation, promoting indigenous land practices, and resisting exploitative mining activities, especially from the Chinese investors. So these aren't just supportive roles to women's activism in the environmental sphere. The men are actually really constructing new ecological ethics that redefine masculinity itself. So this model of ecological masculinities is rooted in solidarity rather than supremacy, and therefore is relevant to marine conservation in the Western Indian Ocean region, where patriarchal governance transformation must include men, not as dominant experts, but as equal co-creators of sustainable futures. Working with WIOMSA, designing the agenda-sensitive monitoring evaluation systems, gender action plans. Allow me to highlight just a few systemic gaps that I've sort of observed in the WIO ocean governance. First, we know that women are primary resource users, but they are often excluded from governance. So despite being principal actors in the fisheries, in the blue economy, women in the WIO region are politically and institutionally marginalized. Even the UN Women's Baseline Report confirms that women contribute significantly to fisheries, but are largely excluded from the policy-making tables. Then the sort of the marine science and the policies around that are still dominated by masculine cultures. You recall the UNEP WIOMSA sort of report on the state of ocean governance report, which documents hierarchical and extractivist norms in marine science institutions, which really systematically discount the local and experiential knowledge women bring to resource governance. Then also the issues of young men who are absent as agents of change, especially missing from the leadership roles. That's also another issue. Then we have also projects, gender projects, which mostly are operating in silos. Projects like the Safara and the NOCAMO, they do enhance women's capacity.
Please try and wrap up? I'm really sorry.
They fail to interface with the institutional governance or ecological priorities. Then, of course, participatory boards that exclude through intersectional barriers. Also, those are issues that we need to look into. Finally, I highlight 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, so 6 pathways for transforming our ocean governance practices. 1, we need to disrupt patriarchal marine cultures. 2, we need to foster this ethical allyship and foster reflexive masculinities. 3, we need to reform marine education to include plural knowledge. I think the first speaker did highlight these gaps in the education. We need to advance intersectional justice in governance and also use tools like the IOC UNESCO gender sort of toolkit to really not just track representation, but include outcomes, policy shifts, funding equity, and cultural change. So my final word, moderator, is I would like us to reflect, and I'd like to leave you with these 3 provocation questions. 1, what would marine conservation look like if it centered care over control? 2, can men be reimaginers of gender justice, gender just futures? What does it mean to steward the relationship, not just the ocean? Thank you very much, moderator.
Thank you so much, Professor Ncube. In the interest of time, I do see that you are using the Q&A chat box, and I can already see that our speakers are also responding to some of the burning questions that you guys are posing on the chat box. So in the interest of time, we only have 10 minutes, and what I'm going to ask from our speakers, I only have 1 pressing question, and I want you guys to share your insights in one line or in one sentence on the chat box when trying to answer that while I try and wrap up. And if you can, speakers, please do share your contact details on the chat box as well. It would be very nice if there are some participants that would like to ask some further questions, then they can be able to reach out to you with your permission, of course. So one question that I do have is, let me first start by thanking all the speakers for those insightful presentations. I thoroughly enjoyed today's webinar. Thank you so much. And in the interest of time, unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get into the brief panel discussions, but I just have one question for all our speakers. I just want us to give us some parting or inspirational words on how we can be able to overcome some gender barriers in our respective organizations. So maybe just in one line or one sentence, you can just give us your thoughts around what are some of the inspiring words on how we can be able to hold on in order for us to be able to deal or to overcome some gender barriers in our respective organizations? Thank you so much. And as we wrap up, I would like to sincerely thank each of our speakers for sharing their research experiences as well as the advocacy work that they are doing and where they are looking at the challenges and the practices in the ocean governance. We really thank you guys for your time. And to our participants, oh guys, thank you so much. To our participants, thank you so much for joining the webinar. And we have a total of about 97 attendees in today's webinar, and coming from different sectors, from our NGOs, from research institutes, from university, government, regional and intergovernment organization in the WIO region. We also do have some participants from Mozambique's first female scientific divers, and we also have some participants coming all the way from Sweden, the UK, Belgium, and Namibia. We want to thank all of you participants for joining us. And to my amazing panel, thank you so much for your time. And to WIOMSA, thank you so much for this opportunity and platform. And to my amazing speakers, thank you for your insightful presentations. And maybe just trying to wrap up and concluding on what the speaker spoke about. So the first speaker emphasized the importance of the gender representation. She did mention that gender representation matters. And then our second speaker spoke about the critical roles that our youth and women play in building the climate resilience. Those are very important points. And our third speaker spoke about the importance of the mentoring and the supporting programs that are very essential for supporting our women in the marine science industry. And then our fourth speaker spoke about how it is important for men to change the narrative. I particularly enjoyed all the speakers' presentations today. And then finally, I just want to encourage all of us to be able to amplify the voices of the women, the youth, as well as the marginalized communities in marine science and the policy. And we must remember, we are the community, we are also our marine science, and we are the youth, and we are the people that are going to change the narrative as well as the policies, especially in the Western Indian Ocean region. And finally, I would like to encourage everyone to join us at the upcoming WIOMSA Symposium. And by now you should know that we have an upcoming WIOMSA Symposium that is going to be taking place in Mombasa, Kenya from the 28th of September in 2025. If you have not yet registered, please make sure you go over to the WIOMSA website and find more information about the upcoming WIOMSA Symposium. And remember, in the symposium, this is where we are going to be discussing more of these critical conversations. And we are also going to continue with these conversations in the presence of our stakeholders across the region. And thank you once again. And from all of us at WiMS and WIOMSA, please take care and stay connected. And please do follow us on all our social media platforms. Follow both the WIOMSA and the WiMS on Instagram, on Twitter. We are also on Facebook, and we are also on LinkedIn. And remember, it is free of charge if you're a student to join the WIOMSA. And from the WIOMSA, automatically you can be joined into the WiMS platform. And again, what is mostly important is that we need to work together. We are all that we need, and we can only succeed in overcoming all these barriers if we hold hands together and we move forward with our mission. And I'm just going to hand over to Obakeng from WIOMSA, who is just going to do a little bit of a closing and telling us more about the upcoming symposium. And thank you so much, and how you guys can get involved. Thank you so much. Obakeng? You are muted, Oba.
Okay, thank you so much, Zikhona, and thank you to everyone who actually is here today, as well as the greatest thank you to the 4 speakers. It was very insightful, and also getting the male perspective on gender issues within marine science, within ocean governance. Thank you so much for that. So this is just to confirm that the WIOMSA Symposium is happening from the 28th to the 3rd of October, and WIMS will be having a session, not a special session, but a mini symposium during that week. And we're looking forward to participation from WIMS members who also would like to be part of WIMS. And we are also going to be having various other events that are happening at the symposium. So we encourage you to register for participation in the symposium in Mombasa in a couple of months. So we're looking forward to your participation. And even, yeah, that's all.
Thank you so much to Obakeng. We still have 3 minutes. And in 3 minutes, any parting words from our panel? Buhle?
I think can we also maybe answer 1 or 2 questions that were posted in the question and answers?
Let me see, what was the...
I think they've all been addressed. So I would propose, if there is any additional questions, that someone posts it in the Q&A, or if you have some questions in the panel to each other, or Zikhona, if you have some questions.
Thank you so much. I think all the questions have been answered. And the only question that is not answered is that, will they have access to the recordings at the end of the webinar? Obakeng?
Sohanur, I think there's Sohanur's hand is up.
Sohanur,
Yes, so I want to answer a question. Can I?
yes, Sohanur,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, so I got a question there. I talked about the FGD, focus group discussion. So in country like Bangladesh, sometimes government or the research group, they do some focus group discussion and they validate that it's the participation of the real engagement. But I said only focus group discussion cannot be checkbox to engagement of women or the local community. So we need the real engagement through the local leadership, through planning, through budgeting, through monitoring, evaluation, and learning. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. Anne-Elies? We literally have a minute.
Yes, no, the concluding thoughts are just, I think that the more that we can support our women across all parts of their career, the stronger our field becomes and the more inclusive and innovative it becomes. So please engage and continue the supporting of our women.
Thank you so much. Dr. Renis?
Thank you so much. Mine aligns to the question that I got, that women sometimes tend not to support women. So this is because we tend to know, the competitive nature of the current opportunities. So that can be one issue. So it's just to encourage the environment where women see each other as allies, not rivals. So instead of competing, they should collaborate and mentor, like the mentee, which is a good opportunity or initiative right now. So just helping, supporting, and each other every time. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. Professor Ncube, literally 1 second.
Thank you very much. Mine is just to really just emphasize the need to institutionalize gender audits across marine science and conservation agencies, scale mentorship and leadership training for young women in marine careers, and just embed intersectionality into national ocean strategies and policies, remembering that sustainability depends not just on ecological resilience, but on equity and social cohesion within marine systems. Thank you.
Thank you so much all once again. And from all of us at WIMS, take care and stay connected. And remember to connect with us through our social media platforms. And we'll see you again in Mombasa. Thank you.